and welcome to South Asia Diary with me, Mariam Wardak. South Asia is going through a tough time now. The COVID-19 pandemic followed by the war in Russia is draining foreign exchange reserves. Some countries are simply running out of dollars. First, Sri Lanka, and now something similar is looming over Nepal. The Himalayan nation has banned the import of 10 luxury and non-essential goods. The objective? To conserve much-needed foreign currencies. On tonight's episode, we tell you how Nepal landed in this mess and what the government is doing to avert a Sri Lankan-like disaster. Also on the show,
doctors take to the streets in Sri Lanka amid a massive shortage of medical supplies. Will the island's forex crisis turn into a medical emergency? In Pakistan's Karachi, the exploding population has made land a luxury. We tell you how the lack of space has left no room to bury the dead. The Afghan women's football team reunites in Melbourne, months after fleeing the Taliban regime. All the details of India's largest IPO as the life insurance corporation goes public.
is Nepal going the Sri Lanka way? That's what many economists are wondering. Nepal's foreign exchange reserves have dropped nearly 18% in the last year. 10 goods have been placed on a no-import list. The idea is to save valuable forex. But how did tiny Nepal burn through so much money? What is the way out?
When was your last packet of chips? An hour back? Or maybe yesterday? If you are in Nepal, hold on closely to that packet of chips, because pretty soon they may disappear. Nepal's government has announced an import ban. 10 goods have been identified so far. Foreign liquor, cigarettes, cars, bikes and jeeps, diamonds, expensive mobile phones, basically all kinds of luxuries. Also banned are some non-essentials like lace, kurkure and even playing cards. Sounds like a joke, doesn't it? Well, not in Nepal. The Nepalese have a thing for playing cards. In the last 5 years, they imported 66 million packets. Total cost, around $8 million. Starting last week, no more cards will be dealt from abroad. But why is Nepal swearing off imports?
We have the foreign exchange reserve adequate for the import of almost around 7 months. Compared to the previous level, it has come down, but we can manage it because number of migrant workers, they have been going abroad, that is being increased.
Let's call it the Sri Lanka syndrome. Like Sri Lanka, Nepal too is facing a possible forex crisis. In other words, it is running out of dollars. In July 2021, their reserves were at around $11 billion. This year, they fell to $9 billion. That's a drop of around 18%. But how did Nepal land in this mess? After all, it's a small nation, small population. How did they burn through so much money? 4 reasons. Number 1, the COVID-19 pandemic. Nepal's economy is dependent on tourism. When tourists come, they bring foreign exchange with them. During the pandemic, that stopped. From 1.2 million tourists in 2019, visitors dropped to 150,000 in 2021. No tourists, no foreign exchange. Reason number 2, falling remittances. Around 3.5 million Nepalese live and work outside their country. The money they sent home is valuable forex, but after 2019, that inflow slowed. Last year, foreign remittances fell almost 5%. Reason number 3, rising imports. In the last fiscal year, Nepal's imports rose 38%. In the year before, it rose only 2%. To import more, you need to spend more foreign exchange. Reason number 4, a lack of resilience in Nepal's economy. There is very little foreign investment, very little industrialization. So Nepal's economy was primed for the pandemic to destroy. The government says this ban is temporary, that it will be lifted by mid-July 2022. Hopefully by then the crisis can be solved. If not, Nepal could turn into the next Sri Lanka. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
Meanwhile, in Sri Lanka, things are going from bad to worse. The economic crisis is turning into a health emergency. Hospitals are running out of important supplies. Pharmacies are running out of key medicines. Surgeries and treatments are being delayed. So, Sri Lankan doctors have joined the protest demanding urgent supplies.
They have swapped the scalpel for placards. Silently, they have gathered at this street in Colombo. Not the biggest protest you will see here, but arguably a more important one. Because these demonstrators are doctors and nurses. Maybe they have their own politics, but today they are here for the patients. Sri Lanka is running out of medical equipment. Around 85% of the pharmaceuticals here are imported. The forex crisis has slashed that trade. Many hospitals have no way to treat people.
We are feeling some sort of uncertainty that somehow we want, as a health worker, we want to function these services because this hospital is a very sensitive hospital. So we have to provide the services. Otherwise, as a health manager, I feel very sad if we are unable to. If we turn out the patients without giving treatment, that's very sad. At the moment, we are not doing. Somehow, we are managing all the patients.
The situation is pretty bad. Turning away patients is not an option. Neither is reusing critical medical equipment. Yet, that is exactly what some hospitals have been forced to do.
But for an example, the nebulization kits that we are using, that is like you nebulize wheezers in the emergency department. So we had been washing them and reusing it, which we didn't used to do it. But now, of course, we are worried that we might run out of the stock. So we had gotten to this habit of cleaning them, drying them and reusing it. So that's sad, but that's the reality.
Now the doctors have had enough. Hundreds of them are rushing into the streets of Sri Lanka. Their appeals are bringing donations from individuals and organizations. But experts say it's not enough. Almost 70 vital drugs are in short supply, including anesthetics. And this is forcing doctors to make heartbreaking choices.
From this week, we are trying our level best to curtail some non-urgent operations, but attend all the emergency operations. And we are hoping that there will be some supplies coming from our friends in India and other countries, which will ease things out. But I think we are in a very serious situation, so we will have to be very, very careful.
It is the same story at pharmacies. Some have barely 2 months stock left. Others are turning away regular customers.
Bad because for the past 6 years, this company, Uniqueness, have been serving customers as well as serving patients in getting their prescription medication done. And so when you hear in the last few weeks that we won't be able to, or not only us, the entire medical system in Sri Lanka won't be able to offer the correct dosages for its patients, it's very heartbreaking. So that's.
Without swift intervention, the situation could escalate. It started off as an economic crisis, then became a political crisis, and now is on the verge of becoming a humanitarian crisis. South Asia Bureau, WION World is One.
Karachi is the largest city in Pakistan. It is home to around 16 million people. That massive population has created a space constraint in the city. Simply put, Karachi is running out of space, and the problem is affecting the city's dead. Graveyards are filling up and the dead are running out of space to rest. But for the right price, shady crews are creating new spaces. How? Let's take a look.
Karachi, hot, dusty, and full of people. A teeming metropolis where land is a luxury. Where even the dead don't have a place to rest. Karachi's graveyards are filling up fast. But if you know the right people and if you can pay the right amount, a plot of land can be found where you may not like the answer.
There's no space in the whole of Karachi. None of the graveyards have space for fresh burials. We have to destroy old graves if we want to create new ones. We bury the old one beneath the new one. We level the old one off to build a new one over it.
30 million people live in Karachi. Housing for the living is hard to find. So cemeteries are never on the government's agenda. The result? Packed necropolises like this one. Small, big, grand, simple. You will find all kinds of tombs here. Come again tomorrow and you may not see them.
People are taking money and making graves on top of graves. People who visit this graveyard have graves. But for those who don't come, their graves will disappear.
If you visit the graves regularly, they will not be touched. If not, grave diggers will eye them, and sometimes they charge a lot. The government burial fee is 7,900 Pakistani rupees or $44. But some locals say they pay up to $1,000.
The other issue is that relatives of the deceased offer large sums of money to grave diggers, prompting them to create more space for a grave.
There is a mafia for everything in Karachi. The milk mafia, the sugar mafia, the land mafia, and so too the grave digger mafia. These freelancers are profiting from Pakistan's population dynamic. Today, it's the 5th most populous country in the world. Total population, 220 million.
The basic issue is that infrastructure is insufficient. At one point, Karachi's population was 300,000. Now it has swelled to 30 million. In some parts of the city, the infrastructure is the same as what existed when Pakistan was founded.
No single authority controls graves in Karachi. The Metropolitan Corporation manages 39 out of 250 graveyards in the city. 6 of them are closed and the rest are full. For many locals, the grave diggers are doing a service. They ask if the administration does not have a solution, what will the people do? Others rue their loss. After all, a grave gone is a memory gone.
It is very painful. My father is no more with us, and the grave was the last sign of him. We come here to offer prayers, but leave regretting that we can't see his grave.
Things are unlikely to get better anytime soon. Pakistan is adding 4 million people to its population every year. How will the country find a resting place for these many people? How many tombs will be moved to accommodate new ones? Whatever the answer, it remains a grave injustice. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
What's the best experience for any athlete? Most likely playing in front of their home crowd. But for female athletes from Afghanistan, that's not an option. When the Taliban came to power, Afghanistan's women's football team had fled the country. The new rulers would not tolerate women playing sports, so the team escaped from Kabul. And they have reunited in Australia to play a local league match.
Seldom does a draw mean so much in football. That too, a goalless one. But today is one of those days. Because this team has been through a lot in the last 7 months. War, exodus, separation. But finally, they are back where they belong, on the pitch.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant for our team because it's the first time after a long time we are playing together in a professional way, officially, we are playing together.
This is Afghanistan's women's football team. A home game would have been great, but not an option for these girls. Back home, their new rulers frown upon women playing sports. It's a strict no for the Taliban. So when they took power in Kabul, the team fled. Each player found refuge in a different country. Proud Afghan team was fragmented. A good number of them settled here, in Melbourne. The local club helped the girls return to the pitch.
We are enjoying living in Australia very much. We are working with different trainers. They're very kind. It is the beginning of a new life. We are rejuvenating our sport here, which is enjoyable, and we are enjoying every moment.
These young women have all they want to do is to be given the chance to just to be treated equally, to be able to play the game that they love, and that obviously wasn't happening for them in Afghanistan. They were being persecuted because of it.
On a lighter note, the generosity nearly backfired for the hosts when the Afghan team found the back of the net. Lucky for them, it was offside.
It was a really good game to start. It was pretty end-to-end. Lots of drama there, the disallowed goal as well. A big celebration in the disallowed goal.
The scoreboard will show you a draw. 0 goals for both sides. But for this exiled team, this is nothing short of a win. A message to the hardliners back home. You can try to clip their wings. You can try to keep them out of schools, but you cannot smother their spirit.
The significance of the game was that we were playing in jerseys with the Afghanistan national flag's logo, which means a lot to us. It means that the Taliban cannot stop us from playing, especially as a female sports player. We still continue to fight to play for Afghan people and Afghan women.
We hope the girls return soon to the pitch. With resilience in their heart, pride on their faces, and the national flag in their arms. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
India is preparing for its largest IPO or initial public offering. Insurance giant LIC is going public. Starting May 4th, the company will open for subscriptions. The price band is set between 902 and 949 rupees per share. What does this IPO mean for the Indian economy? How much is the government expected to make? Let's find out.
In India, you don't buy insurance. You buy an LIC policy. That's how popular the company is. Its journey began way back in 1956. The Indian Parliament nationalized the insurance industry. Over 245 insurance companies were merged to create what is now a household name, the Life Insurance Corporation of India. Today, it's a financial juggernaut. 290 million policy holders. Total life fund of 28.3 trillion rupees. Annual policy sales worth 21.4 million rupees. And pretty soon, you could join in on the profits. Because LIC is going public. The IPO will open on the 4th of May and will remain open until the 9th of May. The public issue is worth around 21,000 crore rupees. And the price band between 902 to 949 rupees per share. India has been expecting this IPO for a while now. It was supposed to happen a few months back.
Why was this issue delayed? and why did we not see this come up as originally planned envisaged in February or March? I think that's a time when we had the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which had just started. There were too many uncertainties floating around.
The government intends to offload 3.5% of their stake. Initially, the plan was to raise 60,000 crore, but the revised target is 21,000 crore. Despite the cut, LIC will be India's largest ever IPO.
We know the market. We've been investment managers for decades now. We know how things pan out. And we believe we have the confidence that this can happen.
A war, pandemic, not exactly happy times for the economy. So why go through the IPO now? For a number of reasons. One is obviously the money. After subtracting the tax and the fees, the proceeds will go to the Government of India. A brand makeover. New insurance companies are entering the market. LIC must reinvent to keep up, to stay relevant with the new generation.
I mean, LIC's pension plans or bonus plans have been very, very popular going back even 40 years. And if I look at that generational change, LIC over the next 5 to 10 years would have to adapt itself more from context point of view. How are they going to be relevant to the young Indian audience?
Experts say LIC is a share to buy. Strong fundamentals, massive scope for expansion, plus a legendary name in India. Starting May 17th, LIC will begin trading in the secondary market. After conquering Insurance Street, could Dalal Street be the next for LIC? We'll know soon enough. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
That's all we have for you on this episode of South Asia Diary. We'll be back next week with a brand new lineup of stories. Until then, stay safe. I am Mariam Wardak and you are watching WION. World is One.